Gents, I just want to pause the episode for a moment to let you know about the Strong Men of Value Academy. You will have heard me refer to it a number of times, and I want to bring more attention to it. So this isn't just a program, it's a life-changing environment and community of men who are focused on personal and professional growth. We're looking at areas of relationships, wealth, and health, things to help you thrive and maximize your life. Imagine having bi-monthly one-on-one coaching sessions with myself, weekly group coaching calls, and an incredible brotherhood of high achievers by your side. Now we're diving into resilience, leadership, and holistic growth to not just succeed in your career, but to thrive in your health and your relationships. Your journey to greatness, it starts here. So join the movement and you can apply for the Strong Men of Value Academy. You can head to themanthatcanproject.com to find out more. You'll often hear me talking about the power of strength training and why it is so fundamentally important to our overall well-being and longevity within our life. And today I'm super stoked to have a colleague and an all-round just top bloke, Sam Butterworth, join us on today's podcast. We talk about muscle growth versus strength, the mindset that you need to be within lifting heavy stuff. And Sam is a powerlifter and he's an absolute unit. His goal is working towards the World Championships next year. So we broke down mindset in preparation for training versus mindset in regards to preparation for competition. They're two very different things. We speak about recovery, his preparation physically for training and competition, and also throw a little bit in there around muscle sarcopenia, so degeneration of your muscle over a certain age. But it was a fun chat to go into detail around Sam's training and the RPE scale and how he's utilizing that based off how he's feeling now in regards to training rather than doing percentages, because we need to take into account lifestyle factors around why we may not feel good in certain periods, because hands up if you've experienced stress or you may even be stressed right now. I've got my hand up. And that is something that you need to consider within your training program. And if you're not, then you're probably holding yourself back from the results that you could be getting, or it may be impacting areas of your life in a way that you may not be aware of. So take that into account. Gents, the applications for the Strong Men of Value Academy are open. We're having applications come through thick and fast, which is exciting. There's a lot of new blokes jumping in. Some reasons for diving into is challenges within their relationships, being in toxic environments that they want to get out of, and just really lacking personal standards around how they conduct themselves in daily life. So that's a few of the main reasons for why blokes are joining at the moment, and we're going to help them take their life to that next level. We're going to help them get their standards in check, understand what they value and who they want to be as men, and we're going to hold them accountable to achieving that. So look forward to having more of you apply. In the meantime, continue sharing this episode and leaving reviews if you haven't already taken the time to do that. But that's enough from me. Let's dive into today's episode with Sammy. The Man That Can Project podcast, a podcast empowering career-driven men to live more fulfilling lives. We are here to challenge your beliefs, redefine success, and talk about the important stuff in a relatable way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. My name's Lachlan Stuart. Let's get into it. Today's guest is Mr. Butterworth, Sam Butterworth from Functional. Mate, I'm looking at the. Good to have you on here, bro. Look at the guns.
Doing.
Look at for anyone who's listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen it to, go check out YouTube and just see the size difference.
You gotta get the girth
between Sammy and I. What are you rolling in at? What are you hitting the scales at the moment?
122.9 this morning. Yep.
Does that fluctuate much, or that's pretty?
I've been holding that for a while.
And what height are you? Give us your dimensions, just so people, because I literally am looking at this camera and I look like an ant next to you, and I thought I was a pretty large lad.
You need a bigger chair, brother.
Well, mate, here's the thing. Once we move back in,
true,
going to get some proper couches. I got some new wall art coming. It's going to be legit. We'll
nice
get you back.
Big sofa.
Yeah, big.
Put the feet up.
Put the feet, but yeah, these are pretty.
No, they're good.
Flimsy, bro. To be fair.
193 centimeters.
Around. Stall.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Yeah. Sorry.
122.9. I've been holding that for a while. Yeah. So I compete at 120. So I've got to be under 120 Or 120.0 and under.
All right, and so I'm 179. I look like a pygmy like dead set look like a pygmy, and I'm about 82 kegs at the moment.
Yeah, but bro, you can run, buddy.
Yeah, so Sam's an extreme power lifter.
Yeah.
But also one of the most enthusiastic dancers on the gym floor.
Oh, Ken Boogie.
But before we really dive into more about your story and powerlifting, muscle building, strength, mental resilience, a lot of cool stuff, I want you to take us through a warm-up because when you walked in, you were warming up the vocals. And I've never done a vocal warm-up before, so I think that could take our podcast to the next level.
So for everyone listening, this is my first podcast.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think you would kill it.
Anyway, I was warming up the vocals. We were doing some How Now Brown Cow.
How now, brown cow?
How Now Brown Cow.
How now, brown cow?
Unique New York.
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 Unique New York. That's a bit of a
We're good to go, brother.
twister. We're on. All right, that's all we needed to do. It really opens and accentuates the mouth, doesn't it?
I'm actually fucking thirsty after
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Oh, so I also I had drinks prepared in the fridge. Just a bottle of water because I know how dehydrating this can be. Mm-hmm. And the fridge has turned into a freezer. I pulled out these little ice bottles, which is awesome. But anyway, lesson learned. We'll be home for the next podcast, so we're good to go. Anyway, Sammy, I've been excited for this for a long time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. It's good.
Mate, it's going to be a ripper. And for everyone tuning in, Sam's a powerlifter. You're actually fucking... we're just checking out your total. I've got the totals to the left here.
Yeah.
You started powerlifting in, 2015?
Yeah, so I went back, had a look this morning too, did a bit of reflection. So my first comp was almost 7 years ago, 2015, June. I was was I weighing a little...
It says you were like 107.
107.4 kilos, yeah. So 210 squat, 132 bench, and 220 deadlift.
For a total of 562.
562, yeah.
That's a lot of lifting.
Yeah.
So talk us through, for those who have no idea or no understanding of powerlifting, what is powerlifting?
So powerlifting's just a strength sport, essentially. So it's centered around the three lifts, the big three lifts, essentially. So squat, bench press, and deadlift.
Yep. So it's not hair, selfie, and smile.
Could be. It is at home. And then you get 3 attempts of each.
Yep.
So it's 9 lifts, and it's the most weight you can do on those 3 lifts.
And it's just the one
just
rep,
one
right?
rep, yeah.
And so what's the standard in regard to like squat depth? Is it 90 degree? Is it arse to ground?
So generally it's like hip crease below knee crease.
Yep.
So like your hip hits below your kneecap, essentially. Yep. So there's 3 judges. There's a front ref and then 2 side refs.
Yep.
And then they're calling things like depth, making sure the bar's not going up and down. So the bar has to come all the way up in one smooth motion. Like it can't come up, down, then back up again.
Yep.
Bench press has to be like a slight pause on the chest. So the ref will call like start, press, rack.
Yep.
So you go on the ref's calls, and then deadlift,
just pick the bar up and
grip and rip.
Do you have to lower it, or can you just drop it from the top? Is it more just...
It has to be dropped under control, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the ref gives you a down call, and you can't just let the fucker go. You got to control it to the ground.
How does it feel lifting ridiculous weight? So my all-time squat's 185, which is like
good.
Probably your warm-up. Not even your warm-up, probably.
Second warm-up.
But I know when I do that, like, I feel like I'm about to pass out after doing that.
Yeah.
What's it feel like going, what's your max squat now? Looking at 21st of the November.
Yeah.
280, 290.
290, yeah. So that was at the Nationals last year. It's a rush, man. It's almost like you go blank a little bit.
Do you use a belt and everything like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So raw powerlifting, which is what I compete in, is knee sleeves. So like just like a neoprene 9mm knee sleeve.
And what's the purpose of that? Is that...
they do help like knee stability and give you a bit of compression on your knees.
Yep.
A lot of it's proprioception, so just having something tight around your knees.
So okay.
Yeah, it just feels tight and secure.
Yep.
But does give you a bit of a spring out of the hole. And then belt too, lifting belt.
Fuck.
Yeah. Squats probably I struggle with the most mentally. Like it's just because you got to pick it up out of the rack.
And then walk it back
and
so
then
you
walk
get a
it
sense
out.
of that.
So like you have that whole bar on your back as you're walking it out. And you can feel the weight on you, especially when you're going towards like that 1 rep max. You know what I mean?
How do you prep for that though? Because I watch you lift, and I don't even see the big lifts. I just see when you're probably taking an easy day at Function Well.
The other day?
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
And just moving through.
Nothing.
Double my 1RM, but still just moving through comfortably. But what does it look like in terms of you prepping for a big lift?
In training or just in general?
Yeah, well, obviously let's go into training, but then also, I guess, establish the differences between your preparation for training versus competing.
So, like, these days, a lot of my training is like what we call like sub-max.
Yep.
So a lot of the work I'm doing is like at a lesser percentage of my 1 rep max, purely to just ingrain technique, practice cues, all those little technique things that you pick up and need to practice. And then the idea is that when you're going for that 1 rep max or that heavy one, everything just falls into place. So all I think about lately is just staying cool, calm and collected as much as possible. Like it's people probably think I have bipolar, to be honest, because like I'll freaking slap a tune on, fucking go crazy for a little bit, and then like just before I get on the bar, like I chill, calm down, and then I just go for it.
Yeah.
So like a lot of that kind of technique and actually doing the lift.
Yep.
By the time you get to those 1 rep maxes in training or in competition, it just falls into place. I'm just trying to fucking push as fucking hard as I can.
So it is, to drill that home, it's super fucking important to get your technique sorted before going ham.
For sure, yeah. It is and it isn't. Like, definitely good technique is going to help you lift more weight for sure.
Yep.
But when you're going for those 1 rep maxes, you're always going to have a little bit of deviation from perfect technique. Yep. And there's no such thing as perfect technique.
Yep.
You're always going to have a bit of deviation, and good technique looks different for a lot of people. But for one of those 1 rep maxes, just go for it. What
would be then the fundamental, I guess, obviously good technique looks different for multiple people, but what is, I guess, if you were to have 2 key things you'd look for in a good squat, what would that be?
2 good things in a squat. So you're probably looking at like a good brace.
Yep.
So making sure like the relationship, so the relationship between like, your rib cage and your pelvis is nice and secure. For a lot of people, that's going to mean, like that classic neutral spine. So making sure that, lower lumbar.
Yep.
Not how I'm sitting right now.
we're both. It's because of the chairs, bro. If this was a stiff back,
this is, you wouldn't want to lift like this.
A dog taking a shit.
Nice and neutral spine. Squat, just making sure all that pressure's balanced over like the middle of your foot. So like your full foot is flat on the ground and you're nice and balanced over your feet, and you can just keep pushing through there. Right. If you get those 2 things right, you're doing pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That's the preparation.
Get the brace.
But going back to that mindset stuff.
Yeah.
You are notorious for walking around with the headphones on.
Yeah.
But going through your mind at that point, like, are you... Because, man, when I think about lifting a 1RM, I fucking am always worried about my back or injury, or just even like, what if I hit the bottom and I bottom out? That's I guess I focus on probably more of the negative side of things. So for you, doing it as like a competitive thing, because for me it's just purely ego. There's no real benefit to my life of actually doing it. But for you, for a competition, how do you get yourself in the mind frame to rip that out? Like, what do you say to yourself?
So normally I start with like just a good tune to put myself in a good mood.
Yep.
And that kind of starts the process of preparing for that lift. And then it's just feeding myself confidence boosters.
Yep.
Like just your classic things. You might say to yourself like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
You fucking got this. Like this is easy way. Like all those little things.
Yep.
At the moment, like where I'm at with my lifting, a thing I'm finding I'm saying to myself a lot is like, show them why you're the best, like just because I feel like I'm kind of leveling up.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to like, show myself as well that I'm, the big dog around. I'm just saying that to myself, like, show them.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go. And it's just like simple things like that, just to kind of pump yourself up and get yourself going. And then, like I said before, I'll take that moment just to calm down and then just focus on like, just staying cool under the bar.
Yeah. So you sort of hype yourself up, get yourself, I guess, in a confident frame of mind, a certain frame of mind, but then also calm yourself down so you can be composed through action. Yeah.
Like I found back like in my early days, in those early competitions, like it was purely just fucking go like ego, you yelling, screaming, back slaps, ammonia, like just getting too pumped up.
Yep.
And when you get too pumped up, like, you know, your technique goes out the window. You forget about actually what you're doing.
Yep.
So I still have that, you know, that period of, you know, pumping myself up and getting myself in that right mindset. But then it's from there, it's chilling. Yeah.
So interesting to think about. What about then, so even from your training, you know how you're talking about you're doing a lot of sub-maximal now. In the earlier days, was that how your training was structured as well, or were you always trying to hit one? Because for me, when I started CrossFit and I was actually trying to lift heavy, felt like every week I was hitting a PB, but then I ended up with like tendinopathy in the knees. I
was exactly the same. Like, in those early days, like I was every week was, you know, trying to push, like almost hitting like, you know, 1 rep maxes, failing lifts, you know, pushing the limit too hard.
Yep.
And then like you said, that's when things like knee pain and all that stuff pop up. Whereas these days it's a lot more, like I said, sub-maximal. So the weights are a little bit lighter. Sure, like leading into a competition, it starts to get a little bit heavier, but even now, so like I've got my next comp in 2 weeks. Ooh. And I'll be going for like a 300 kilo squat. I won't touch.
What's your 1RM for the squat now?
290. Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice.
So like I did my second last heavy session on the weekend. I did a 280 single.
Yep.
I've got my last heavy session this weekend. I'll be hitting anywhere around 287.
Yep.
But I won't be touching anywhere near that 300 mark until the day. So it's all like, you know, with a little bit in the tank in training.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like going into something like that, like because the first time you're going to hit that PR is in competition.
Yeah, so, and that's why comps are exciting, and that's why they're so like nerve wracking, because often like your third attempt will be something you haven't touched before, and it will be like a PB. So like especially for me, because I've been doing it for a while, you know, I'm not going to come out on my first attempt and it be like a PB. Like your first attempt, you want something to be
sort of safe,
you know, locking it in. And then second attempt might be like an equal PB or a little bit less. And then your third attempt's normally like it's normally like a PB.
Yep.
So it's like that make or break. And that's why it's so like rewarding, but also so crushing as well when you miss them. Cause like that's that shot out the window that you didn't take.
And it's not just the one day you've been prepping for that. You've had a whole training block.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
It's sort of centered around those numbers.
Yeah. So like, I mean, use it as fuel, right? Like on the day, you get your butterflies in your stomach and it's exciting. And then when you do get it, it's fucking awesome.
Yep.
And then when you don't get it, it's just as rewarding because, you know, you learn from it and you use it as more fuel to the fire. And
your sort of end goal was sort of touched on the other day as Worlds next 2023, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So Nationals last year, to get to Worlds this year, I needed a 817 total and first place. So on my last deadlift, I went for the Australian record at 346, which also would have given me 817 or 818, which would have punched my ticket to Worlds this year. And just going back to what we were talking about before, I fucking missed the fucker on the third attempt.
Yep.
And that was crushing. That fucking sucked, to be honest with you. And if you look on my phone background, that's the moment where I hit the deck and I missed it. You can click that open.
On YouTube, you can see it, hopefully.
Yeah. So at the moment, that's just my phone background, just leading to this next comp, just as a reminder that I don't want to fucking feel that way again.
What was that like coming out of that? So like defeat, because a lot of people don't chase their potential because they're worried about moments like that. It's like how they're perceived by other people or how even they talk to themselves. It's like, you know, you've had, 7 years in the game now. Leading up to even the Worlds next year. Maybe that wasn't the goal back then, but it is now.
Yeah.
But you're still prepared. And, you know, you're essentially a fucking veteran, right? Like you've got a lot of experience under your belt, a lot of competitions and a massive total, but even you still fail lifts.
Yeah, fucking oath.
How do you bounce back from that? Like what's that process look like for you?
Just going back to the drawing board, like most things.
Yep.
Getting back into training straight away. Like don't fucking take it to heart and suck about it.
Yep.
For me, that was like, all right, I just need to get stronger. So I just got straight back into training.
Simple solution.
Like just get back into training, keep doing what you've just been doing that whole for the past 12 weeks and just do it again. And just have the confidence that, it's there, you know, because it just wasn't there that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
What would you do differently? What did you learn from that? Aside from obviously what you just said, getting stronger, but like in terms of maybe comp prep or anything like that? Was there?
So with that, like I was so emotionally invested in that number. Like since I started powerlifting, I wanted to get on the record books for Australia.
Yep.
And I wanted to go to Worlds. So that whole comp, like it was awesome because the whole comp prep was fueled by that.
Yep.
So every deadlift session, every squat session, I was fucking raring to go and like just so excited. Just lost my train of thought.
So excited for the Worlds and
And then it came to that lift and I almost just got too hyped up, you know?
Yep.
Like it was like too hyped up, too emotionally invested. And then, like I was saying before, technique went out the window a little bit. And then just at that weight, it was enough to fucking stop here.
Yep.
And not come up any further. So in States in 2 weeks, I'll have another crack around that. You can't set national records at state comps.
Why is that?
I'm not sure exactly. It's got something to do with the refs. I think if there's national refs there, I should be able to have a crack at it.
Yep.
But I'll be going for around that number.
Yep.
And I guess because I don't have that attachment to it as much this time around, I'm just going to try and stay a bit more chill and then just trust that I've got the strength in it.
Yep.
And just let it do the work.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Does that sort of work in your favor though? So obviously when you're prepping for a competition, right? And for anyone who doesn't do sport or powerlifting or anything like that, just put this into something that you're working towards in life.
Yeah.
Right? Context, right? When you, I guess, getting to show off what you've been working towards, whether it's, you know, you're getting engaged and you've been saving it for a shitload of time, or you are going for these 1RMs, they always say the crowd gives you a bit, like the motivation and the energy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But there's also what you spoke about there where you can sort of get too hyped and mentally
too emotionally attached.
Yeah.
Yep.
So looking at that, there's Viktor Frankl's quote probably fits perfectly into this, where they say he says between stimulus and response is the time to choose how we respond to certain things. And I think the older we get, the more experienced we get, the more we can draw on in those moments to go, look, this is what's happened to me previously, and this is why I believe it's so important for us to fail, because we're pushing our thresholds to work out how much can I guess, squeeze out of myself and still remain mentally and emotionally composed, because that's what you're sort of looking for, that balance, physical and mental.
Definitely, yeah. It's that balance. And like I was saying before, in my younger days, when I was 20, 21 powerlifting, it was too much of that yelling and screaming and whereas now it's like definitely that balance point between, being excited, being emotionally invested in the goals and why you're doing it, but also being able to stay calm and then just let, technique and everything fall into place. Yeah.
What's the goal like at Worlds? You want to win it?
To be honest with you, like there's some fucking killers out there in the rest of the world. For me, like going to Worlds is more about like representing my country.
Yep.
And just being there and being the best and strongest version of myself.
Yep.
Like, ever since I started powerlifting, every year the live stream's on.
Yep.
And I can just visualize myself on that platform when I'm watching it. And like even like the commentator, like every year it's normally the same commentator. It's this guy. And I can imagine him like reading out my name as I'm coming out for my first squat. And it's just, I just think that's just like such the end goal. And like when I go, I want to be the strongest version of myself. And sure, it'd be fucking cool to be, top 5, top 6, even top 10.
Yep.
But for me, it's more just about getting to that platform, getting to that world stage, the top of the top.
Yep.
And doing myself and my country proud.
Man, and like, I think for people to put this in context, one, you're in like the top 0.1% to be even going to Worlds, right? Like it's not just any Joe Blow that goes, but also it's, if you want to think about how much weight Sammy's shifting around, obviously safely do it, but next time you're in the gym, try it, I'm not going to say go crack on 1RM because there might be a few backs going, but like test yourself and see where you're at. But because I even know for me at the moment, my squat and my dead and my bench are terrible because I'm a runner now. I'm streamlined. It's not good. But so to think about the weight that you're shifting is mind blowing. And to get to that point, like to get to that elite level where you're at, this, obviously the hours that go into it, the sacrifices that go into it. Do you want to talk us through, I guess, a few of, or how your sort of life looks in regards to sacrifices that you made to do that? Because you can't just do it half-assed and achieve the results.
If I'm honest, like if you said to that Sam 4 or 5 years ago that, I'd be squatting 300, benching almost 2 and pulling almost 350, I would literally tell you to get fucked. Like, mate, it's just this funny thing where like anything, consistency is going to enable you to do whatever you want in life. Like if you just keep showing up, I've had fucking good days, bad days, awesome sessions, really good periods of training, really shit periods of training. But the main thing is just showing up every day.
Yep.
And then soon, you're able to achieve things that you never thought were possible. Like literally, if 2 years ago, if you asked me, I'd be benching 200 this year, I wouldn't believe you. But
mate, it's a lot of weight.
But all of a sudden, I'm fucking knocking on the door of it, So like anything in life, if you want to be successful in business or whatever it is, just keep showing up and you'll get there. I'm lucky in the sense that, my lifestyle and my work enables me to dedicate a lot of time to my training. So like being a coach myself, having that kind of split shift morning and night. I have a big period during the day where I can devote to my training. For me, it's just, I think it goes back to my younger days. Like I tried really hard in school and in academics and sport. And like my schooling was grounded by, training for rugby. I'd have rugby training Tuesdays, Thursdays, games Saturdays, Sundays, whatever it was. And now, like if I don't have that routine in training, it doesn't feel right. It's not, I almost feel mentally off. I'm not good. So it's just a part of my life. It's just like, some days I don't even want to train, but I just rock up and do it. It's just routine. So I think having the habit and the consistency in training has probably enabled me to get to where I am today. And also like having that bigger goal in mind of, getting to Worlds, staying true to why I'm doing it, because it's enjoyable, it's fun fucking putting some tunes on and lifting some weight, so.
Feels satisfying, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Getting the pump on.
Fucking juicy pumps.
But I think a few things you touched on there, I want to really highlight there for a lot of people. There's a few things that I think you've done extremely well, and you said you're sort of lucky that your career allows you to do that, but you chose the career. I think too many people say this person's like, it's complete bullshit. We live in such an exciting time where you literally can do whatever the fuck you want, like in terms of career. Like people are making
self-eat pics.
Yeah, like is that what you do on the side? I've seen yours on Google actually.
Yeah, big fucking things.
Yeah, big flip flops. Yeah, but. It's an excuse. Yes, as we get older, we get more set in our ways. We maybe don't believe change is possible. We might have more responsibility through having to look after dependents or mortgages. I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, you've made all the choices in the lead up to that point. And if you're in a position where you don't have all that, like myself, it's a really good fucking time to start thinking about what's going to work for your lifestyle. Because as you said, it then ties into the end goal, because there's days that you don't want to show up.
Exactly.
There's days that you don't want to train, and that's anything in life. But when you know why you're doing something, you've got a career that allows you to sort of pursue that, it becomes a lot more fulfilling. And a lot of people are stuck in a career that has sort of, it's not allowing them to pursue the best version of themselves or find fulfillment or whatever it is. But then ultimately as well, they don't know what the fuck they want. So when they're going to work every day and they're living paycheck to paycheck, or they're fighting with their partner, or their health is atrocious, they're blaming it on their jobs, or they're saying, when I get to this point I'll start getting fit, or I'll spend time with my children. It's like, that's not guaranteed. So the fact that you've put yourself in a position to have a career that allows flexibility, it also probably keeps you focusing on training as well, and being around a good team, which I feel so fortunate to be at Functional, because it's an awesome group of people, and you get to literally think about fitness all day, every day, which for me is so important. But then you've also set that end goal. And I think it's important to think about where we want to go, because that's what helps us make the decisions and work out, what's a beneficial sacrifice in our life. Like for you, showing up every day when you could not, the trade-off, it's like, well, that's not going to get you closer to your goal, so you go anyway. And there's too many people aimlessly walking around. So I think
exactly right.
I want to touch on that.
Yeah, I think with powerlifting, because it's so measurable, like you know exactly when you're improving, and that's strength training or any form of training. you know exactly when you're improving, you know, like more weight on the bar, bar speed, technique gets better. So I think, you know, you've got all these markers of when you're improving, and that's definitely helps in terms of staying the course as well.
For sure. And I think that's another hugely important thing to do. Like there's people who come into the gym who don't maybe follow programs. And I see it at the gym, you know, see people who come in hot and heavy and they're there for like 4 to 6 weeks and then all of a sudden
you don't see them.
Yeah, you don't see them. And
see ya.
See ya. I think it's so important. Like I track all my stuff through an app, and I really encourage people to do it as well because once again, it's motivating to see the lifts going up or to see your times getting faster if it's aerobic stuff, or your mobility improving if you take photos to track that. But then you can also go, if you have time away or you're going into a different strength cycle or training cycle, you can sort of look back on where you were at certain periods and you're like, right, that's the goal this month, is like to get back to that at this point in time, which helps with consistency because when you don't feel like getting out of bed or you may be a little bit stiff and sore, you're like, come on, mate, you're chasing for me at the moment, it's a 100 kilo bench again. Like, sounds so bad saying that.
Two wheels.
Yeah, 2 wheels, mate. Keep on burning. Fucking hell. But like tracking and measuring things. So thinking about anything in your life, it's important to make it measurable and set milestones, right? Like throughout the training cycle or whatever it is that you're working towards. Like,
for sure. You got to have that end goal. Like even for me, when I don't have a comp booked in, everything kind of feels a little bit out of whack. You know, as soon as I book a comp in, you know, all of a sudden your training kind of falls into place, and then everything outside of training, you know, life as well, that all falls into place as well. You definitely have to have that end goal. Even for me, like it's just the goal of continually trying to be better than the previous version of myself. I think that's one thing that kind of sticks me to this whole powerlifting thing is, like I said, it's so measurable before. So you know when you're improving. So just having that bigger picture of constant improvement, like you just make it a part of you.
Another thing we didn't really touch on was it's probably humbling, right? Like because every day you're striving to be better. Some days your fucking barbell might bend you or whatever, and it's like you have to have a good hard look at yourself. And what I mean by that is like sometimes it might be because you've been getting slack with your nutrition. You eat a fucking truck ton, man. Like. So I went for brekkie, or we went for brekkie the other day. Wasn't it a feat? I was absolutely stuffed. What we had, oats. Like I was introduced to a whole new recipe here. We got oats, had your protein powder in the oats. Yeah. Whatever else we had.
Yeah, I was going through Woolies. Just getting some snacks, and then all of a sudden Lockie's just following me, just eyeing off everything I'm getting, and then 10 minutes later we're eating together. Yeah.
Trying to eat like a powerlifter for a day. I was done for the day. I literally ate my full day's quota for breakfast.
Yeah, you're like, what are you getting? I might get that too.
Throw it in there. Try to carry that back for me. Yeah. But yeah, like things like that can sort of creep in. And it's a good reminder for me with my training. Like if I'm not on pace with where I need to be for my running, or my hamstrings are not feeling good, it's like, well, where have I been slack? Because I'm not I do slack off with my stretching sometimes, or I let my nutrition fall by the side, or sleep. Yeah. Because life happens, and I'm like, I might want to stay up late and watch Netflix or whatever, and then the next day I'm hurting for it.
Just to flip back a little bit, this is why also like this whole kind of sub-max area of training is kind of taking strides at the moment. Like you said, life happens. So like a lot of my training at the moment, it's what you call like RPE based. Yep. So like, for example, on a given session, I might have, or for a few weeks, I might have a top set on squats. I might do one set of 3 at 7 RPE. So that might mean it's a set of 3, but there's really 3 reps in the tank.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, life happens. So each week that 7 RPE weight, one week it might be 200 kilos, the next week it might be 210, the week after it might be 190. Cool. So you basically, you want to auto-regulate your training based on how you're feeling in that session. Yep. And that's a good way that you can kind of stimulate that constant progression. So it's kind of like, I can't really.
Yeah, well, for those who are watching on YouTube, he's doing the worm.
I'm doing the worm. The worm's slowly going up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the importance of getting in tune with your body. Yeah. But so is that in powerlifting, has that become a bit more of a thing now as opposed to doing percentages?
For sure, yeah. So there's been this bit of a shift, especially in like Australian powerlifting, and in the States. Australia's a bit behind, but a lot of it's RPE based now. So auto regulation. So you basically, it's not setting prescribed weights. You're just basically doing a weight that you can do on that day.
Yeah. And so to sort of create that standard, so for those who don't understand how percentages work, you might run your percentages off a 3RM or a 1RM or whatever. And, say, for example, your 1RM bench is 100 kilos and for example, the program might say you're doing 3 sets of 5 at 70%, so 3 sets of 5 at 70 kilos.
Yep.
So for you then using this RPE, metrics.
Yep.
That works.
A
10 is still based off your 1RM, or is that just based off you feeling like you could hit a 1RM?
There is a percentage table attached to it. So
we went through this with the muscle nerds guys.
That was more just percentages of 1RM, but essentially a 1x1 at 10 RPE is essentially 100%. If you can find... just go, if you search RPE percentage table.
RPE percentage table.
Chart, yeah.
Table, here we go. Boom. Oh, yeah, here we go.
There you go.
Oh, I like this.
So, if you go across that table, so for example...
Let's bring this laptop in here so you don't have to read across the...
So, if you go, for example, on any session, you might have a top set of 3 reps at 8 RPE. That's roughly going to be 86.3% of your 1 rep max.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
Using this chart that we got here. But taking into consideration, those lifestyle factors, maybe you slept shit, haven't eaten enough, stress, whatever it is, that might be less than that on that given day. So you can use these charts and stuff as a guide, but also, like I said before, it's about being in tune with your body, kind of knowing, what's there on that day based on how your warm-ups are feeling and stuff. And you're not going to get it straight away. You call it kind of overshooting and undershooting. So if you overshoot, you go completely over what you were meant to do that day.
Yep.
If you overshoot week in, week out, that can lead to unnecessary fatigue and hitting a bit of a roadblock in your progression. You just get used to it. You get used to judging how warm-ups are feeling and stuff like that. So for those playing at home, if you can look into some sort of auto-regulation in your training, I'm not saying use the RPE kind of scale, but if you can kind of take into consideration, those lifestyle factors and some days that you might not be able to do 100 kilos on the bench and you might need to pull back to 90 or 95.
Yep.
That's going to facilitate more progression in the long term.
Yep.
Rather than trying to slog out that 100 when you're feeling like shit.
I think that's a good thing as well for people because I guess for everyday gym goers who may be following a program and want to be striving towards a PB, but they don't ever think about their lifestyle factors like stressful day at work, poor days sleep, a poor night's sleep, etc. It's take that into account. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
You got to learn to be fucking kind to yourself if you want consistency. Because if you're if you're going into the gym and you're not, you might be going through a stressful patch at work, which a lot of people do, or a lot of people are dealing with all kinds of stress, especially through COVID. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Just sort of understand where you're at, and then adjust where you're going, adjust the benchmark. Me
and you, we're not the normal.
No,
we have all this fucking time to train during the day, and that's not normal. No. Most people,
I wish it was, but it's,
most people have families. They've got fucking big time jobs.
Yep.
They're running fucking high stress a lot of the time.
Yep.
So to have that, constant feeling good every single session, it's not going to happen. So like you said before, you do have to be kind to yourself and accept that, some days you'll walk into the gym and you will feel like shit, and that's all good,
Yeah.
Just take what's there on that day and you'll keep moving forward.
So diving into that then, so obviously Functional especially bangs on about the yin and yang philosophy.
Yep.
I know you incorporate ice baths and brain tap and all that. So do I, and I think that sort of ties into a lot of the blokes who listen to this podcast. They're high achieving fellas who also want to be fucking ripped and jacked and have great relationships, but you got to start thinking about all the moving pieces in your life. Yep. So what does a recovery look like for you? And let's talk in just day-to-day training, but then also as you're prepping for a comp, what do you incorporate?
So the number one thing, I try and make sure it's consistent sleep.
Yep.
I notice that straight away if I have a poor night's sleep, the next session or the next rest of the week.
What's a poor night's sleep look like for you, or feel like for you?
So at the moment, I haven't been sleeping ideally just around these last heavy sessions. I've just been pumping too much caffeine, which it's fucking my bad. So like bad quality sleep. So like it'll be like 6 hours, for example, but like waking up 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m.
Yeah, right.
That'll only be like 1 or 2 nights a week for me at the moment. Whereas on the other side, a good night's sleep would be like 7 to 8 hours, sleeping straight through, maybe waking up once to go for a quick whiz.
Yep.
Yeah. So sleep, number one. Nutrition, so making sure I'm like eating enough calories, enough protein to support that recovery.
Yep. Is that sort of the main thing you focus on in regards to nutrition? Is that protein intake? Protein
intake and calories mainly. Yep. Yeah. So I've been working with like a new nutrition guy from the States since that last Nationals comp.
Yep.
Which is macro based.
Yep.
The rough, guidance, is calories and protein.
Yep.
To make sure that your recovery is on point. Protein obviously just to support that muscle growth. And then calories just to make sure that you're getting the overall fuel for the body to support your recovery and that muscle growth. You can tinker with carbs and fats, but it's just going to be personal preference. Make sure you're just getting the volume in.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's interesting. And how many calories do you eat a day?
I'm on 4,000 at the moment.
And does that like for your rest days and
that's been pretty consistent. So since that last Nationals comp, I've kind of been at 4,000.
Can we go? What does the average day of food for 4,000 calories look like?
Here we go.
Yeah, I just need to know. I need to know because, mate, last week I tracked my calories for 3 days, and my fitness pal, I just put in my goal, my weight, my training, and it said 3,700 calories I needed, and I was like, all right, let's crack on and see how we got. And at the end of the day, I had to smash 2 magnums. Like this was to get calories in, and I got to 2,400.
Couple of paddle pops.
I legitimately was like, how does, because I was thinking about how much you ate, and then I was also like, I pretty much need to eat another 1,500 calories on what I was at.
Yeah.
I don't know where you get that from.
First of all, shout out Rockby Farms.
How good? How good
fucking
is Rockby Farms?
How good are Rockby? One a day, brother.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day. I've swapped my coffee adding for
the double espresso ones. Mate, deadly.
They're so delicious.
I literally have it. So I have a Rockby Farm in the morning, a double espresso one on the way to work.
Yeah, I actually really look forward to them.
Yeah, they're fucking good. Or chocolate after training.
I've gone off the banana one a bit. I've had too many of them.
Too sweet. Yeah,
or just too many of them.
Yeah, it sits on your tongue a little bit.
Yeah.
Brekkie, we're going 4 slices of toast-ish, 3-4 eggs, some spinach, some ham-ish.
Fuck.
Pre-training, 100 grams of Nutri-Grain. Sponsor me.
Man, I've gone to Milo cereal at the moment.
Yeah, you're saying that.
Yeah, protein.
Yeah, I should get back on that.
Mate, they're so good.
Yeah. Crunchy Nut, Nutri-Grain and Cocoa Pops at the moment.
Yeah.
Just cycling through.
I don't mind Cocoa Pops.
The Chex ones?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. Pre-training, and then I'll train. During training,
How early do you eat before training as well? Like, do you sort of
So I have those at least half an hour.
Yeah, right.
Depends. Like if I'm doing squats or deadlifts, I'll probably push it earlier, like an hour.
Yep.
If I'm just benching or at upper body,
I
don't mind having it in my guts a bit closer too. During training, I'll have some Gatorade, some sugary stuff.
Yep.
Lunch and dinner will be some sort of meat, 300 grams of chicken or so.
Yep.
Good serving of carbs and veg.
Yep.
And then I'll have like another shake before dinner.
And do you weigh every bit of food, or you sort of got an idea of what 300 grams of chicken and stuff looks like?
At the moment, like into a comp, or most of the time I'm pretty much weighing everything.
Yep.
I've been on this intake for a while now, and I eat the same stuff every day mostly. So like I kind of just eyeball it most of the time.
Yep.
But like for the next 2 weeks, I'll be weighing.
But this is one of the sacrifices of success as well. Like for me, I personally couldn't be fucked doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm also not chasing the same. It's also one area I do definitely need to improve. Hence why I started using my fitness pal last
Yeah, well, like before I started with this guy, I'd never tracked before.
Yep.
And I was always thinking, fuck, I couldn't be fuck tracking. You know, it just always seemed so hard and annoying.
Yep.
But yeah, started working with this new guy and just started it. And yeah, it's been awesome. I think just like educating myself on food too has helped. Like it's really helped with like kind of knowing what's in certain foods because you scan it and you enter it in. You go, oh shit, that's got this much. Whereas before you probably wouldn't even take notice. So that's been really good for myself just in terms of my own knowledge around food and what's in what and all that. And then like anything, you just get used to it. Yeah, but like you said, it is a bit of a sacrifice. But it also gives you the flexibility to have what you want. Yeah. Almost like, you know, if I want to have some grilled burgers,
you schedule that in.
Sponsor me.
If we get any sponsors from this, I'll be stoked. And I will.
Mate, fucking grilled, please. Please, twice a week. Oh my God. If I want to have some grilled on a Friday night, you can plan ahead and you can enter it in, you can make it work. Yeah. And that's probably been the biggest thing. In terms of tracking my food and stuff. But it's not for everyone.
Yeah, but if people wanted to lose weight and stuff like that, that's probably an avenue that they should go down as well, because I think with weight loss, a lot of people try to go on these hectic diets and they just sacrifice all the good stuff that makes it enjoyable, so they don't stick to it. So exactly. If you can learn moderation and go, look, I'm going to go for a few burgers on Friday night, well, let's account for that in my calories for the week.
Have the burgers on the Friday night, but, you know, have that like the lunch or the breakfast, pull back a little bit and plan ahead. Yeah, you can definitely make it work. Because like you said, that's what's going to make it last. Yeah. Instead of fucking starving yourself and feeling miserable and then after 8 weeks going back and chowing down again.
Just going back to the same bad habits. But I think it's important as well, as you said, educating yourself. Like, stop expecting yourself to just wake up one day knowing how to eat properly or how to strength train properly. It's like you got to learn. Like, yes, pay for coaching and support. I think we both do that, as you've touched on, but also do the work yourself.
Yep,
like, stop giving away all your power to just being lazy, in my opinion. Yeah. How'd you get into powerlifting? You said from a young age you were playing rugby and stuff. So because for me, powerlifting was never even a thing.
Yeah, it's certainly growing in popularity over like the last 4 or 5 years. Yep.
People must be following your Instagram.
Yeah, must be. No, even more than that. So big footy player in high school. Just out of high school, started training more in terms of myself. Yep. Just my own enjoyment and to also, you know, support, you know, what I was doing on the field. Yep. Ended up doing my PT certs after I bailed out of architecture. Started working in a little studio in the city.
Of LA or B&E?
B&E. Bacon and egg.
Yeah, bacon and egg roll. Sponsor me.
And I had a mentor there when I first started and he was powerlifting. And he basically just invited me down to where he trained one day. And then literally before I knew it, I was signed up for a comp. I actually can't remember how it happened, but for some reason I was signed up to a comp, that first one there on the list. Yep. And then literally the rest is history. I was hooked. It was like, I think it was just a bit of a rush, that first one. Like it was just a cool experience. Yep. You're in this, you know, weird venue with a bunch of other random people and you're all there for the same reason. Everyone's supporting you, shouting at you. You know, you're lifting weight in front of people. They're all yelling at you. And it was just a cool experience. And then I think I just got hooked onto the idea of that constant progression and constantly wanting to be stronger and stronger. I actually remember one of my first mentoring sessions with this Chris Samuels. Shout out if you're listening. Sponsored me. I remember doing like a deadlift when I very first started PT, straight out of the certs, thinking I was hot shit. And he's like, all right, show me a deadlift. And I think I remember him just saying like, oh, I was doing it. And then he's like, that's a fucking terrible deadlift. You know what I mean? I had no idea how to do it, like straight out of the certs. And then I think from there, he invited me down to the gym to train with him just to learn a bit more and start training. And then, rest is history.
Fucking game on. Let's take this, let's take a side step in the conversation. I want to talk about, obviously you're a coach as well. Yeah. You focus on powerlifting coaching. Yeah. Talk us through like why powerlifting, why is that important for you to teach people? Sorry to throw you on.
No, that's good. You don't like the big three lifts, like squat, bench, and deadlift. They're not the be all and end all.
Yep.
But I definitely think you should be incorporating some sort of these major movements in your program. One for the strength development side of things. Two, like we've touched on a lot today, just that mental side of things too.
Yep.
In terms of being able to like progressively overload and just slowly add more weight onto the barbell. Your squat, bench, deadlift are pretty key for that. Yeah.
I was going to say that what you were saying there, like adding more weight because you need to allow your body to adapt and the benefits of, especially for me, I'm cracked 30 now.
Yeah.
What are you 26?
26, turning 27, yeah.
Still a young pup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But
I'm feeling old.
like muscle sarcopenia, so it's just as a result of aging. Like your muscle 3 to 5% on average per decade you're losing. So if you aren't looking to continue to put more plates on the bar, like you're not really helping.
Your body's going to fight against you. So you think you definitely want to have that, like we spoke about before with auto regulation, you're not always going to be able to put more weight on the bar, but we definitely want that slow upward trend of that, whatever you call this again.
The wiggle.
Of going up. So just slowly trying to put more weight on the bar to give your body that stimulus to increase muscle mass and to get stronger. So the big three lifts are definitely a good tool to do that.
Yep.
They're not the only tool, but they can definitely help.
I think they're such an important movement for all of the programming I do within our academy. Join the academy, guys. Plug in the academy.
Sponsor.
But no, I'm not sponsoring.
I am the sponsor.
Yeah, I am the sponsor. But we use the compound movements every week.
Yeah.
Because I think they're so important to build a program around for everyday people, powerlifting, regardless, because I just think those movements and the strength gain, the mobility that it teaches you to move properly, to lift things in daily life properly. Is so important. And as you were saying before, like your first deadlift was terrible. So many people come in and deadlifts terrible, their squats terrible. And you're like, it's a basic human movement that children do really well, but somewhere along the way we learn the ability to squat well. And
for lack of a better term, that whole idea of that functional strength, like training movements that you're going to use in the rest of the day-to-day life. Like, when you're older, you want to be able to fucking move a couch.
Yeah,
100%. For your son or daughter. And that's like that deadlift position, your posterior chain, being nice and strong. So definitely incorporating all those big kind of rock movements.
Yeah, I like it. And so what does that look like then for people who train with you? Sort of do you do online coaching and face-to-face or just online? So
I do both. So most of my guys at Functional, just kind of general strength training. I do have my big three group, which will be a bit more powerlifting specific. So small group powerlifting training, but we'll focus more on the squat, bench, and deadlift. But most of my other crew, if whether their goals, muscle mass or body fat loss or whatever, we'll be incorporating some of those strength movements in there. Normally towards the start of a session, so you start your session with those bigger movements, and then as you progress through the session, you hit more of the smaller accessory style movements, lunges, seated rows, lat pull downs, dumbbell benches, all that kind of stuff.
All the juicy stuff.
All the pump. Oh my God.
For everyone who's watching YouTube, do you see the pec dance? Boom, 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 boom.
And then I have my online powerlifting coaching as well, which will be more like powerlifting specific athletes, doing comps and stuff.
Yeah, nice. I like that sort of stuff. Is that you dropping burps? I was wondering whether it was a burp or you got some food in your bag. Nothing?
No, I can smell that.
Yeah.
I can smell that. I thought you were like
spaghetti.
I was like, who's microwaving food?
Yeah, I was like, maybe Amy's home and brought us food.
Yeah, no, that was just the first burp.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I just had to cover it up though.
I just wanted to check we've spoken about everything that I wanted to sort of cover with your expertise, and we've covered a lot of brilliant stuff. But I think for anyone out there who's not doing strength training, I really think you should question why. Like, it's not about, you don't have to be a powerlifter, you don't have to be a fucking bodybuilder. It's more so literally, if you want to set up yourself for lifelong success and mobility and happiness, like, you need to learn this stuff. And you don't want to get to the point where the reason why you're getting into strength training is because you found out you've got some metabolic health disease, or your bone density is just terrible. I was thinking of osteo. I was trying to figure out what word. Osteoporosis, or things like that could have been preventable had you just looked after your body. And whether you think you're too busy and all that sort of stuff, once again, you can find workouts. You could just squat for 15 minutes, do a warm-up and do squats, and then the next day do deads. And
something's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, 100%. So
I think, like no matter what your goal, like if you want to increase muscle, decrease body fat, run faster, jump higher, be stronger, like you should definitely be incorporating some sort of strength training.
I see so many runners with flat bums.
Yeah, man. Like what's driving those fucking legs? like what's moving those legs?
Legit. I'm like, how are you doing that? Like, I watch like on Instagram, I follow a lot of Olympic level runners. You know, visualize myself. But they do so much strength training. Like obviously their range of motion's different to maybe other training athletes, but it's specific because you do need glutes, you do need hamstrings, you do need quads, and everything else that goes along with it while you're trying to run. So that's just one that blows my mind because like, no, I'm a runner, man. I'm like, cool, but you'll run better. You'll run faster. Your knees won't hurt as much. Your ankles won't hurt as much if you give it some strength and put some load through it.
Like we've touched on a lot, it's just like that because it's so measurable. You know when you're improving.
Yep.
That's like the biggest thing. Like just, having all those markers that can track progression so you know you're getting better, and then from that comes all those mental wins and that boosting confidence.
One question. So for someone who is not in the gym at the moment or even just interested in powerlifting, like what advice would you give to them? Like, or what advice would you give to yourself back as a young fella? I know you gave yourself some advice earlier in the podcast, but like for someone who's really never done many squats, deadlifts or benching.
Play the long game. Like, don't try and put too much load on the bar too quickly.
Yep.
Build that base, build that foundation, ingrain all that good technique, all those good habits, and then, just a marathon from there.
Then
just very, very slow increases over time. Yeah.
Cool. Stop looking for that instant gratification. One last question for you.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, no.
Are you nervous?
What is it?
Are you nervous?
Yeah. What?
Mate, this throws everyone off.
Oh, fuck. I haven't listened to any of it.
He hasn't listened to any podcast. Bro.
No, all right, go.
That's a bit of a kick in the teeth. I'm not publishing this episode. I'm kidding. What's your definition of being a man?
Oh, good one.
You're welcome.
Really good one.
Well, I'll give you a moment to think, and I'll once again for anyone who is like Sam, who this may be their first listen to the podcast. The reason why I ask everyone this at the end of the show is because for so long we've been given a stereotype of what it means to be a man.
Yeah.
And for so long it hasn't been obviously suiting a lot of people.
Yeah.
We think there's something wrong with us because we don't fit into that certain stereotype. Whereas now I think it's cool we can have blokes from all walks of life who share what it means to be a man for them. Yeah. There's going to be some people who disagree, but who cares? There's also going to be people who agree. And I think the fact that people can find their definition and know that there's other people out there is awesome.
I think I got it. And I think this is like something I've been reflecting on a lot lately myself, would just be like staying true to yourself,
Yep.
Like knowing deep down who you are and what you want to do, and then just sticking to that.
Yep.
Like not trying to be something because you've seen it on social media or whatever it is. Yep. Like just be true to yourself, and whatever that form that fits, you're there.
I like it, mate. You do live that well because, like I said, in the gym every day, you give my clients some motivational quotes that you always forget.
Pretty shocking ones too. Yeah.
But, mate, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks,
Where
man.
can people find you on socials as well?
On Instagram, it's just Sam Butterworth _ and then that's basically everything from there.
Yep.
Yep.
You can find out if you want to lift some heavy weight or just do any training in general, or just even follow the big man's lifts because they're monstrous. Absolutely monstrous.
Yeah,
but
come give us a follow and
good luck in 2 weeks. It's been real.
Thanks, man.
Oh, that was quality.
That was good. Thanks for having me on today.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Been a pleasure.
Man that can.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Now, if you got value from that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And want to leave you with the final thing as always. Remember to do something today that will make you a better man for tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.